Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another TNI toy review. And today's review is in association with JediInsider.com, your #1 news source for everything Star Wars. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at this brand new Star Wars 3 3/4 inch scale Kessel Run Millennium Falcon toy from Hasbro. Now this is based on the new Han Solo movie that opens in theaters on May 15th, Solo: A Star Wars Story. This particular vehicle, along with all the other new Solo product that's coming from Hasbro and other companies as well, will officially be released this coming Friday, April 13th. Now some of this stuff has started to see release early, but again, the official release date for this particular item will be this coming Friday. Now this comes packaged in the new style that we're seeing for all the new product for this year. So you've got the yellow Star Wars border. Now most of the new stuff has images of the characters from the new movie, whereas the Falcon does not. It does have some artwork here on the front for the Millennium Falcon toy, showing off some of the features and everything. You've got this little window here that shows you the actual toy, and then up here you've got where you can hit the button and basically test out the functions. So you can see it's making some noise and lighting up here in the window. So that's pretty cool. And then down here it shows you the action figure that comes with it, which is a Han Solo figure. Now this box isn't that big. I would say this Millennium Falcon is on the same scale as the Falcon that they released for The Force Awakens. So this box measures, the length of it is a little bit over 19 inches, and then the height of it is about 15 inches. And then like on the sides, there's some information about the Force Link 2.0, which is kind of the feature that all the Hasbro product will have this year. And then on the other side is a bio for this particular version of the Millennium Falcon and the Kessel Run. And then on the back of the packaging, we just have images of the actual toy showing off the various features. All right, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the toy outside of the packaging along with the other contents. Now you can see there is some minor assembly required with this when you first take it out of the packaging. And most of this is actually related to the play features, and it's definitely not a major thing. They have included instruction booklet that shows you how to put everything together and how all the features work and everything. The biggest pain in the butt thing when you're first putting this together is you are going to have to apply some stickers. There is a decal sheet included. That's something I hate having to do. Some of you might enjoy it, but as it is, you will have to apply some stickers. But the overall assembly of this is pretty basic. Now you can see here that the actual toy itself is not that big. This is definitely more in keeping with that Millennium Falcon toy they did a couple years ago for the Force Awakens line. It is geared more for the younger kids. The one upside to the smaller size is, it's light, it's easy to handle. A smaller kid can fly it around and stuff with no issue. So definitely, that is a positive when you're thinking about the younger kids for this toy. Now, as far as assembly goes, basically you've got things like the radar dish here. Now this is different. It looks different, and I think this is actually how it looks in the new movie. It looks different from what we see in like A New Hope in the original trilogy. You've just got this little peg here, and you've got a hole up top here, and you just plug it in. And because of that, you don't get any kind of up and down movement with it. And you really, you can kind of turn it, but it really doesn't do much. You can kind of turn it backwards like that. It is much closer to the surface of the Millennium Falcon. And I will say that probably would have come in handy during Return of the Jedi. It maybe wouldn't have gotten knocked off if it was this low to the surface of the Falcon. But as it is, definitely that's something that's kind of different from what we see in the original trilogy. I'm assuming it's one of the modifications Han Solo makes to the ship. Now, the back here, you do have some compartments here, and basically they show this as kind of like a bed or something where you can lay the figure down. It's not really set up for like standing figures inside. It's very shallow. These compartments are very shallow. This one is kind of a smuggler's compartment, and they've included, you get the Han Solo figure, which we'll look at closely in just a minute. And they've also included this little canister, which they call a coaxium canister. I guess that's what they're smuggling in the movie. So you've got this little hole here, and you can actually slide that down and keep it there. So again, this is kind of a smuggler's compartment here. Now you do have the cockpit, which you can open up. This is very similar to what we see with all the other Millennium Falcon toys. Now one thing to kind of note here is you've only got one seat inside here. They've given you two like steering wheels. You know, this should hold at least 2 figures, and you know, you can basically lift this piece up and set the figure inside. But really, you know, even though they've included 2 steering wheels, it's going to be a tight fit to get a second figure in there. This is really, they've really only sized this for 1 figure, unfortunately. Now, besides the cockpit, they've also included this little shuttlecraft, or I'm assuming that's what this is. Now, this is a new addition to the Millennium Falcon that we did not ever see in the original trilogy or anything. I'm guessing this little vehicle is lost, and this fits here in the middle section. So you can basically, you can have your Millennium Falcon so it looks like the classic Falcon with this gap here up at the top, or you can slide in this little shuttlecraft, and it fits right in the middle there and basically fills that space. So again, I'm assuming the reason why we never saw this in the original trilogy is because it ends up being destroyed or something. Now you can put a figure inside there. There's a place for a figure. Also, there's this little hole on the bottom. So again, you can take one of these canisters and you can plug it in there. So you can store it in there. Again, I guess because they're smuggling it. And you can still set your figure in there, kind of lay it on top and close it. So that gives you another place to actually put a figure. And then to remove it, you just pull it out. There's no buttons or anything you push, you just pull it out and you know, pretend like it's flying away. And you've got some blue markings on it. It's basically the same color as the rest of Falcon. There's a jet exhaust here on the back. Otherwise, this is very undetailed. Now, this does have some weapons that you can use either for as when it's flying around on its own or when it's attached to the Falcon. So you've got these little cannons here on the top, or on the sides, I should say, and you can just pull them out with your fingers. And there's little places where you can kind of stick your nails in there and pull them out. So basically you get some added firepower with this little vehicle as well. There's also the cannon that goes on top of the Millennium Falcon. Now this is just a single cannon, so this looks different than what we've seen with previous toys. But again, I think this is in keeping with how it appears in the movie. And like with all the previous Millennium Falcons, you've just got this little hole up here and you can stick this in so as the main gun for the vehicle. And you can rotate it a little bit to the left and the right. There's no elevation with it, you just get the rotation, and you can't turn it all the way around because this plastic piece sticks up in the back. And then also you can see there's the window here, but it's done with just white plastic, so they didn't give it any kind of clear plastic or anything like that. So it just kind of looks like the rest of the Millennium Falcon toy. All right, now for the rest of the assembly, you've just got these panels. So you got these 2 front panel pieces that go over the hyperdrive, and these have some holes in it, and you just want to match them up, and you want to basically slide them in from the front here. So there's a little tab there, and then you just push down and they click into place. And these will actually pop off when you start activating some of the electronic features on the toy. Then you've got these back panel pieces, and you just again want to match them up. You want to kind of put them in basically front way first, and then just kind of push down. Same with this one, goes over here. Now these panels on the back here, these 2 I just attached, those basically, they just cover up basically the interior spots. So you just lift them up if you want to take them off. They don't actually pop off with the feature. But then these 2 final panel pieces, which cover the back engine pieces here, these, I don't know what, I always wonder what these were. They look like vents on the back of the Millennium Falcon. So you've got some detailing here with the engines and everything, and this is done with a gray plastic, and then these vents are done with a darker blackish type plastic. You know, we've seen these on all the Millennium Falcon toys. But then you've got these cover pieces which are kind of new. So you basically put them on top there, and you have to kind of push down. These will pop off when you activate the features of the toy, which I'll show you in just a minute. So you want to make sure you push them down good and get them to pop into place like that. Now, as far as assembly goes, that's it. This thing is completely together now. And again, very small, very light. This thing measures, the length of it is about just a little bit over 21 inches. And then the width of it, actually back here is its widest point, is about 13.5 inches. Okay, now to activate the features, the lights, the sounds, basically what you want to do is this requires 3 AA batteries. Now they actually include batteries when you first take it out of the packaging, which they call demonstrating batteries. They're probably not going to be fully charged, so you will probably want to put some fresh batteries in this when you first take it out of the packaging. You will need a Phillips head screwdriver to unscrew this, and then just install the batteries in the back here. And then up here at the front there is a little switch. So when you first take it out of the packaging, it's set to the demonstrator position, which is the middle position, which just has one little line, and that allows you to kind of test the features. But what you want to do is you want to do it all the way up to the 3rd feature, and that'll make all the features fully activated. And then if you want to turn it off so it doesn't activate, you can just pull it all the way down to the off position, and then none of the electronics will work, so you won't run down your batteries or such. But as it is, we'll go on and pop this up to the 3rd position so that activates all the features. Now basically everything is activated. You've got 2 buttons here on the side. You've got one over here and then another one over here. So this one over here activates weapon sounds. So if you push it once, it just makes a laser type sound. There's no lights or anything associated with this. Now if you push it a second time, it sounds like you're firing a missile. Kind of have to push it and then hold it down to get the missile to fire. And then with this side, this activates your hyperdrive and your sounds and everything. So 2 things with this. So first of all, you've got these landing gear on the bottom here, and unfortunately it's not like the old one where you could pull out the landing gear. It's just these little stubs on the bottom here. You can see there's some sculpting detail on the bottom with like a cannon here and some other sculpting, but there's really not much in the way of paint applications. There's some darker beige here, a little piece here and stuff, but overall not a whole lot of paint detail on this thing. But you've got this front landing gear that when you basically set it down, pushes it down, and that will activate sounds. And then when you put it down, it sounds like it's landing. And then if you hit this button over here, you get these lights in the front. That's your hyperdrive. So you push it once like that, everything's going good. And when you move it, it sounds, you hear some additional sounds. So there is some motion sensors on this thing. Then when you push this again, now it starts to rumble, you get some additional sounds. Now you push it a 3rd time, things aren't going good, getting a lot of bad sounds. There goes your panels in the back, there goes your panels in the front. You get some orange lights, and that's basically it. I don't know, I'm sure that's mimicking something that happens in the movie, but I don't know exactly what. Now when I set it down, the hyperdrive kind of conks out like you hear in the movies and stuff. Now again, if you want the sounds just to go off completely, you want to just push this all the way down to the off position, and that'll shut everything off. Now one thing to know with these panels, once you snap them on, really the only way to get them off without breaking it, at least that I found, is activating the feature to pop them off. It's very hard to get them off once you pop them in. You can't just easily lift them off with like your hands or stuff. You might be able to get them off, but like I said, the easiest way, if you want to take these two front ones and these two in the back in the middle here, is just to activate this, basically the feature by hitting this button over here 3 different times. Okay, so here's a comparison. This is the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon toy they did a couple years ago. Now this is a pretty small Falcon. I think this one is actually smaller than the original Kenner one as well. But you can actually see that, you know, the two, while close in size, this new one is actually a bit smaller even compared to the Force Awakens one. And then the Force Awakens one is actually much nicer, has a nicer detail to it. This one is cleaner, and it should be, you know, the Falcon was newer when we see it in this movie, so it should be cleaner, shouldn't have as much wear and tear. But there's just a lot more paint detail on this one, on this Force Awakens one. You know, with this one, they didn't paint the windows, they didn't give it any kind of clear plastic on the top, they didn't paint the weapons. It's just very undetailed. So not only is it clean looking, it just doesn't quite have the detail that we even saw with the Force Awakens version. Now, one thing I want to note about the back of the vehicle is you do have the thrusters on the back here, like we always see with the Millennium Falcon, and these are done with just a solid blue plastic, so there are no light up effects. The jets don't actually light up at all. Now, one thing I want to note here, this toy does incorporate the Force Link technology. They're calling it Force Link 2.0, so it is different from the Force Link technology we saw with the Last Jedi toys. And in fact, one of the downsides is you have the controllers, the Force Link 1.0 controllers, they will not work with these new toys. You have to actually go buy the new Force Link 2.0 controller, which is sold separately. But you can see, like with the shuttle here, there's a little green sticker. I believe on the actual vehicle, that's the only place that you can activate the Force Link. And then the figure that it comes with also, you can activate the Force Link technology. I do not have the Force Link 2.0 controller, so I can't demonstrate that in this video, but I just wanted to note that this toy does incorporate that. Okay, and then the final thing you get is a Han Solo figure. Now this looks like Han Solo wearing his basic outfit you see in the movie, only he doesn't have his jacket on, so he's just got the black shirt and then the navy pants with the red stripes down and the black boots. He's got a gun holster, and they have included you know, his traditional blaster like he always has. So that does fit in the holster, and he can hold the weapon in really the left or the right hand. So he can get it in either hand. He's got kind of a trigger finger on the right hand, so that's probably the best one. That's usually where you see him holding it, is in the right hand. Now the figure, this is a 5 points of articulation type figure, so you can turn the head to the left and the right. You can rotate the arms, but there are no elbow joints. Now you can rotate the wrists on this one. You do get some rotation there. There's no waist swivel, no ab crunch. You can do the legs forward and back, but you can't do them out. And then there's no knee articulation, and there's no ankle articulation. Overall though, I think, you know, for this scale of figure, the face sculpt actually looks pretty good. The paint applications are pretty solid overall, so no complaints in regards to that. Okay, so that's my review. So overall I would say this is definitely made for the younger kids, not really the adult collectors. And there are some fun things about this toy I think kids will find. I like the pop-off panels. I think that's kind of cool. The sounds are pretty nice as well. And, you know, even the smaller size, I think, you know, for smaller kids, you know, allows them to handle it and fly it and everything. So, you know, from that aspect, I don't have a huge complaint. The biggest downside to this toy, I think, is going to be with the price point. This is going to retail for basically $100. And so you'll just need to decide if that's something, you know, if this is something worth paying that much money for. Now this vehicle will officially be released this coming Friday, April 13th. We'll have a full image gallery up at JediInsider.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to all of those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.